Like you said, we now have this tiebreaker to decide who will be first seed and potentially dodge a Damwon or a TES.
And Suning, I believe, with the faster end time, do get to choose what sides they are on, and they opt for blue side, so they could just run back the same draft. I cannot imagine that G2 would want to opt into that, but certainly have a path to success paved out after that previous game.
Reminder that Suning's bans were Ornn, Shin, and Lucian, as well as G2 being Nidalee, TF, and Galio. So far, there's no adaptations here.
Imagine we see the Camille this time around. I think a smart adaptation after we saw Bin just absolutely dominate across those early game skirmishes. Does mean giving up Graves, though, for SOFM.
Okay, and already an adaptation. It was the priority pick of the Syndra last time around, which means that it is now being hovered and locked in there. That is, of course, a flex pick for both perks and caps, although we particularly see it in the mid lane, as it is hard to find a reliable AD mid laners, especially once the Lucian is banned. But that does mean that they lock in the Lilia anyway, so this is very magic heavy in your two mid jungle duo. Does mean that a Kassadin could be a strong pick.
It also further puts emphasis on the fact that this could in fact be a flex pick for the bottom lane. G2 are one of the teams that are most strict about diversifying damage profile across the top side of their map. Now, of course, they can break their own rules. There's no reason that they can't, but it does maybe make it seem more likely that Syndra could be going into the bottom lane. For now, though, the Ashe locked in. See if they want to opt for a counter pick in mid lane to deal with Caps' Syndra. But for now, I think that Suning should be pretty happy with this one because the Lilia has not looked super clean across the tournament for most junglers, and I would put Jankos on that list.
I think it's now about finding as much lane dominance as you can find, since both of these junglers really like to decide on level 1 delayed invades, then fighting for lane priority and lane dominance to just absolutely smash their opponent's jungle.
And I think a big, interesting pivot here. Now, in the previous game, we saw the Camille been opting to dominate the lane early on. This time around, he just wants to scale safely. Now, historically, it was Ornn and GP kind of trading sides for both sides to get a scaling late game option. This time around, it's going to have to be something different as we now see the set hovered and locked in before we head into the second round of bans. And again, flex pick on the set. Very flexible in Korea, very flexible in EU as well. We saw him more as a jungle pick, but I imagine that here we'll either see him in support or in mid.
So let's talk about the 3 picks that we've already seen from both teams. With an Ashe and a Gangplank, it does say that there's a lot more emphasis on playing through bot lane, especially once you have post level 6. That said, style of me, SOFM, SOFM, whatever you want to call him, can prioritize his Krug camp and his Raptor camp. Again, he's mostly about power farming his way through, finding advantages for himself before he does carry it over into his laners.
Yeah, for SOFM, of course, going to be interesting to see how he changes style in this game. A big dramatic shift away from the Jarvan on the Graves. Was not very personally focused in the previous game, was much more about making plays for the team. So seeing him pivot on a dime like that is quite impressive. But the Kalista now banned away, despite the lackluster showing in the previous game, still giving that respect over the G2 bot lane, even when they already have the Ashe now locked in.
We'll see what G2 decide to pull out here. It felt like everything kind of went wrong when they got an initial lead and then threw it by being a bit too careless with some of their plays. They also didn't have the best scaling, and so Suning managed to clap back on that game. So far, the adaptations, you have a lot better scaling, a lot of question marks because you don't really know where all of these champions are going to land in classic G2 fashion.
Well, and certainly you have more engage options. Already we're seeing the GP ult plus the Ashe on the opposite sides is a pretty reliable way to mitigate the impact of immobile carries like Syndra, potentially as well with the Ezreal banned away, whatever carry that G2 want to go for here. Not a whole lot of mobile options left, and there is the Scion. Now, of course, still room for the set to be flexed into the bottom lane, but it's looking more and more like potentially... Actually, ooh, wow. They're getting really wacky razors on us. There's too many flex picks in this draft. I'm just going to shut up until it's 20 seconds left, and they're going to show us where everything wants to go.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, Scion could be played in support.
But then, yeah. I'm hoping it's... Actually, you know what, G2... anything other than Senna support, and I'll be content. But that's going to be the Akali now locked in. Okay, so we're ready for some mechanical stylings. Now, Caps himself a master of the Akali, so a little bit of pressure here on Angel in that mid lane matchup.
Throwing down the gauntlet, if you will. I really like the Thresh pickup. I think it makes a lot of sense. Creates so much safety for Ashe, and you have a lot of zone control from Suning's composition right now. Very strong 5v5 composition, really strong to play side lanes. I just like the diversity and multiple options it has in terms of win conditions and playing out the course of this game. It's not Thresh, but Leona will still do.
Have to cross out what I wrote down. And I'm going to be honest, I would have, as a longtime Sword Art fan, I would have preferred to see the Sword Art Thresh, but I'll take the Sword Art Leona. Is now the final lock-in here. Looks like it will be the Senna ADC, or maybe Mickey's just playing with us. He knows the last game wasn't quite what G2 fans or Team Liquid fans were looking for. But we'll really wait till everything counts down before we confirm where anything is going to go.
Need to be very respectful against an Ashe Leona lane, especially post level 6. There is a lot of kill pressure here, so they do go ahead and lock the Senna. Usually a champion that's fairly hard to break down on that bot side. And now the question is, where will everything land?
And this looks like, for the most part, what you would expect. The set support alongside the Senna AD carry and the Scion in the top lane. Now, the good news, of course, for Jankos is he's got some beefy team members to stand in front of him so he can try to dish out the sustained damage. The bad news, if you're Perks and Caps, is there are a lot of tools to make your life difficult, specifically that GP ult and that Akali, pretty much at any stage of the game. So this one, gonna have to keep our eyes on the early game. If it's anything like last game, we won't even get a chance to get to the team fight stage. It'll be all skirmishes all the time here early on.
And we have to talk about how level 1 is going to be so important. Where are these junglers going to start? Who is going to delay invade? Who is going to have the stronger level 1? And who is going to split the map for their jungler? All eyes are on Sofum and Jankos here to lead their teams to victory in such a pivotal match. Winner here will take first in the group and potentially set themselves up for a very deep run by avoiding a Damwon or a TES if the other groups play out as expected.
Yeah, big stakes here, and of course, because you're Group A, you have no idea what the rest of the competition is going to look like. All you know for certain is that first seed, historically, always been a better bet. Coach is going to walk off stage this time. Players smile, share a final few words before they have to focus on in-game communication. And Frost, there's a lot of pressure. And the thing is in the previous game, I would have said the pressure's on Suning. You know, they're the younger roster. They have less veterans outside of Sword Art and Sofum. They didn't have all these, you know, older voices speaking through. But when the pressure was on, Suning showed up. And showed up in a big way, even when we saw Sofum get put behind a little bit in early jungle, when we saw him lose out a little bit on CS, something we almost never see from him. He still came back when it mattered most, and the team absolutely crushing their way to victory.
And playing for his team, we talked about how they flash FPX and Invictus Gaming, you know, reminding everyone that they are part of the LPL. The LPL has a reputation right now of being the most dominant region, and LCK showed up in a very big way with Damwon as clear, heavy favorites. Suning now just trying to punch above expectations and carry pride for the LPL name, while on the other side, G2 are looking to actually make themselves a contenders. I would not say that they are favorites in this tournament, but if they come out strong here, they could be considered dark horse.
Absolutely. And you want to come out strong before you come swinging into those best of fives. Always a big change when we see teams between best of one, between play-ins, between regular groups, and between best of fives. But here in this final game, it'll all come down to this for first seed. And remember, this is the LPL third seed versus the LEC first. So when we talk about regional dominance, understand that the LPL right now is on that list.
To be fair though, this is G2 versus not only an LPL team, but a Vietnamese jungler.
It is double kryptonite.
This is the double multiplier.
Yeah. Odds historically certainly not in G2's favor when those two elements present themselves, but they have beat Suning before.
Look at Ben. He started Sapphire Crystal.
To be fair, the Scion not going to have...
I know, but I love it.
Ben, I don't want to call his choices recently disrespectful, but I'll say that they are bold.
Listen, he's been putting some kids in the bin. Obviously, with a Sapphire start, because he is against a Scion, he's looking at a very fast early Sheen buy. Now, normally when a GP does this, you try to punish it a bit, because he's not bringing too many battle stats, but good luck.
Now we see the level 1 coming out, Perks. Looks like he's going to have to flash here early on, so already small advantage over to the side of Suning.
Big advantage over the side of Suning. Now it makes it really impossible to try to play super aggressive into this lane here, and level 1's lane priority has been the name of the game for both of these junglers, especially when it's Graves versus Lilia. And it looks like G2 are going to try to force this anyway. Now you can see Sofum is set up on the top side of the map, a early trinket ward into enemy Raptor camp as well. And it looks like it will be a map trade. And
he's just immediately going to rotate to the other side. And the big deal here is that Sofum, while he won't get a leash, while he will be a little bit slower, G2 are going to know that this is happening. But it also means that G2's attempt to extend the level 1 play doesn't really work out. And that means that they are just at a flash deficit here. They don't get a lot of anything else. Although Caps moving up at level 1 could potentially change that. Vision not going to show him too much, and he knows better than to commit into what very well could be a level 2 Graves.
Yeah, and credit to Angel right there. He made sure that he was the first one on the wave. So Caps having to respect that, going back to his wave, not able to chase Sofum. And with that split map, maybe there's a potential. You see the on the way ping from Jankos looking for an early gank onto Ashe. Maybe you try to get that early flash off of as Perks and Mickey are letting the wave kind of set into them.
Punch from Ashe, immediately going to get the flash out. Of course, set with the Hex Flash means that they can rinse and repeat on the back of that play. And it's now a split map. We haven't seen too many of these so far the tournament, but Graves has complete control of the top side. Jankos complete control of the bottom lane. So Sion now just on survivor duty. He just has to hold on as we see Caps spending a ton of time and utilizing that wave pressure just to check if the Krugs are still up and available.
Yeah, just trying to get as much information as possible for Jankos here as he decides that there is no gank opportunity on Hongfeng and Sword Art and instead goes to his bottom side quadrant jungle, whereas Sofum has taken red Raptors and is now clearing out his top side jungle. Now, Bin definitely isn't going to be punished at all for the Sapphire Crystal buy. He's going to have a very free lane, and Wonder, knowing that he's playing weak side without jungle support, is just going to have to watch it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to have to keep our eyes, especially when level 6 starts to come through, if Wonder ever really does get any kill pressure solo on this lane. Sion obviously does a lot of damage at level 6 with that ultimate, but the GP ult, we know immediately will impact the map more and could make bot lane even more difficult for G2 when they're already down 2 summoners. See if G2 can capitalize on the fact that Huanfeng does not have flash on the Ashe, but does still, of course, have cleanse, so it's really not easy to punish this one.
I think at this point you just kind of have to handshake it. We're trading crabs, we're trading sides of the jungle. Now the Raptor respawn is coming in because it was one of the first camps that was cleared. Excuse me, the first camp that was cleared. And we'll see if Jankos is going to try to press this one, but without having push priority in bot or mid, should just let it go. And things are now back on track for Suning and Sofum.
Mickey, Hex Flash, can flash right back into Sword Art though. Looking for the juke here, gonna pull Leona back. Leona, of course, can go in with the Zenith Blade, waiting to proc that Aftershock until the damage actually starts to come in. So they will get the flash out of Sword Art. Huanfeng with no mana, however, pushing them away. SOFM on the way back in. Jankos, they need to be careful. No, Huanfeng very over-aggressive. SOFM on the way in though. Jankos could just get one tapped here, but no, the flash out immediately. Good block. Haymaker can come in from Mickey, but he does not have the cooldown, and that means he instantly gets dropped. SOFM trying to find the reset on the True Grit. Wants to dash in. But both sides just going to walk away here. A bloody exchange in the bottom lane.
Yeah, but Sofum's going to be the big hiccup here as both junglers get the kill, but Sofum's also getting the wave. I believe he started hitting the wave, and instead of pulling it back towards Hongfeng, looks like they might... Oh, I can't see because I can't change the minimap. I thought that maybe SOFM was going to farm the wave, but no, it looks like he took a couple of creeps and then he left it there. So just a one-for-one trade for both junglers.
And overall, to be honest, that feels pretty good for SOFM because at the end of the day, he's the one who picked up a lot of that XP on the backside of the trade, even if they did trade 1-for-1 in kills overall.
And you could say kind of a mistake there from Hongkong, maybe some miscommunication about when SOFM was going to crash with the wave, but got a little bit too greedy, stepped too far forward into Jankos, and was rightfully punished. As now Caps got the immediate reset with the TP, so Angel's going to have to pull Sofum to help him reset this wave.
Yep. Sofum still feeling pretty confident. Is going to use the Challenging Smite. Of course, big buff in combat power, but the phase rush starting to fade away. Luckily, Sofum still has the quick draw and can just dash out to safety.
And with the single minion, there shouldn't be a freeze there for Caps, but he would want to try to hard push this one as the TP has now been answered. Jankos and Mickey holding hands as they're now placing very deep vision into SOFM's jungle, and they're now trying to repeat gank on Angel, who's out of position.
Yeah, but they don't really have the hard CC follow-up. Cap certainly has the damage. They need to commit a lot under tower to take out Angel. And of course, the period of time where Angel is a passive observer in this lane will very quickly be ending as level 6 is on the horizon. Angel just now ticking over, and the Flawless Execution is available.
I would like to rename 2020 the War of the Raptors.
It's the only objective that matters. GPL trying to zone people out. They're going to try to one-tap SOFM, but Challenging Smite comes out clutch onto Caps to deny the damage. Still, Jankos will finish the job. Angel waiting for an opportunity. Where's he going to go? Perfect execution. Dash back on the shuriken flip. Will not overcommit here. Will back away. So G2 coming out on top.
Maybe the 2-for-1 special almost there, but like you said, Angel managing to get away. It's the Raptor can't pick up for G2 as well as Scuttle Crab and potentially even a Dragon, although I don't think that they need to do the time investment right now. So I like that Jankos is just returning to his own jungle. Sofum heading towards top side jungle. Then should move down to his bottom side camps, and we'll see if he wants to try to make a cheeky gank on top side, or if they're going to try to play over priority for Ocean Dragon for Suning.
Now we see Angel, though, getting a little bit of mid lane pressure. Yanko's going to come just to make sure that Caps can actually approach this tower. willing to give up his own wolves just to make this happen. Swirl Seed coming out though, but Caps is just going to be forced to back away here, so Angel pressuring out in a good way.
At this point, I think that Suning's play.
Oh, that Cap's now going to be in trouble, but the knockback is there. He puts Sword Art into the tower, and Sword Art is going to be very sleepy. No finish for Jankos coming through, so they are just going to try to close this one out. Are they going to try to donate the kill? Oh, Sword Art buying as much time as he can, but Jankos going to grab that one, and Wonder sadly will not even get an assist.
They tried to give it to Wonder for his time spent walking down there, but it's not bad to have a 3-0 Lilia right now. So what I was going to say is that Suning's play right now should be to wait for the Gangplank ultimate on Ben to come back up before they start playing cross-map for priority over the Dragon. So meanwhile, you can see that while all this action has happened in the mid lane, SOFM has now walked across and is picking up the Raptor camp. So still trying to stay very competitive with the CS between this very hard farming Lilia and very hard farming Graves.
Yeah, and SOFM, this is where it gets hard, though, to be fair. This is where it gets very difficult, because jungle item's done, and Jankos is now going to zoom through each and every one of these camps, whereas SOFM will certainly struggle. Warrior Enchant not nearly as big of a power spike for clearing the jungle. Obviously very good for one-on-ones. Huge increase in AD, 60 from an upgrade from Warhammer, but still will be hard.
But there is a lot of power that SOFM has from his bot lane right now. Huangfeng is now level 6, whereas Perk's still level 5, about to take over, but also a level discrepancy between Sword Art and Mickey. So you can use that extra power if they do want to try to force early dragons, or if they say that the early dragon isn't super important to us, and instead we want to continue to get SOFM through his camps.
And of course they spotted Akali backing in the mid lane, so Angel will have no presence on the map, further letting Jankos know that he has time to take down this Rift Herald. Question mark pings coming in though means that it looks like Suning are very aware that this is the objective that they are giving up, even if control wards stop GP from going down to check too readily.
Now you would expect that Jankos will use this in the mid lane to continue to snowball Caps. There's also the potential that a 3-man gank on Gangplank up here. Angel needs to push this wave back to get Caps to respond to him.
Blue buff available though, and no surprise to see Sofum running straight forward the camp instead of the Drake at this point in the game. Wants to stay ahead in the individual 1v1. For now has a 1 camp advantage, will even out. As the Scuttle Crab does come through, and they have secured blue now for Caps as well. So it is just a battle of priority all across the map. Luckily for them, Sion already pushing in the top lane, but GP does have the ult up and available. No TP for either side, and blue buff will be secured by Suning.
We'll see if he just hits the dragon or if he's just going to back in the pit.
This is the most, like, jungle camp-focused pressure battle of all time. It's such a weird meta, Roscoe.
I know, we're used, especially for G2, of Jankos playing for his lane.
Yeah, Lee Sin, he shows up. You know, they try to 2v1 with some flashy plays. Instead, it's about who can push. We'll hold that thought as maybe there's a bit of a play here, bottom side. Who can push, who can get more jungle camps.
This is big, though. Jankos has now been shown on the bottom side. I don't believe he's going to set the Herald here. I think he's just protecting Perks and Mickey to allow them to get their back. Again, I would expect Jankos to use the Herald with Caps to keep Syndra ahead of the clock, so she has a lot of kill pressure here. It does give Sofum ample amounts of time to see how he wants to attack the map, and you can see him walking towards Raptors. And Caps was actually setting up a trap for SOFM when he peeked into the jungle.
And difficult, too, because we can see that Caps is actually falling pretty far behind in mid lane CS. Now, he has roamed a lot, and of course, earlier was denied about 2 waves, it looked like, until Jankos was able to back him up and hold out under the tower. Meanwhile, on the top lane, though, Wonder has become the immovable Scion that the team wants him to be. Sadly, maybe not so immovable from this point out, as SOFM wants to gank on this top side, but the control ward stops that one and extracts.
This is literally just the jungler sprinting around.
Yeah. This is the mad dash. But who's actually winning in the mad dash?
I mean, I would say both teams are probably feeling pretty confident that they are. They both have scaling options.
I don't know. I'm worried about that GP Frost. I'm not going to lie to you. After Ben's performance last game, I feel this man can hit a triple barrel chain like it's nothing. Now, I haven't seen it yet, but I still feel like this is something that G2 are going to have to respect.
I think Suning's composition, like I said, just has a lot of everything that you want. You got some burst damage, you have good sustain damage, you have great CC, you have the ability to play side lanes, you have the ability to play 5v5. Like, holistically, I just like all of the things that it's bringing. But you also have a lot of comfort champions coming out of G2.
True. Syndra coming in, of course, for Caps. Perks on the Senna. When he was struggling a little bit this season, the Senna was always his way of finding advantages. And, of course, he's performing much better this time around at Worlds so far. Last game, of course, excluded from the conversation. So see what the Senna can do as we move later and later. Akali, though, going to have to check her next back. Angel has not opted to retreat quite yet, but there's Mickey flashing in now. That's going to be the face breaker. pulling back, taking their time. Angel in the midst of the entire team. Yanko's trying to lay down a little bit of damage, but he's just oh so squishy. Angel gonna find the shutdown, and that is big. Suplex back down, though. Mickey's still trying to find something. Still trying to get anything. SOFM is walking away from the fight that we should be watching, and now Sword Art is gonna get dunked down. So G2 at least gets something back, but not nearly the shutdown that Angel was able to pick up. Now immediate TP back to the top side. Wonder returns his role in this, well, I won't call it a wet noodle fight, but this farm fest.
I'm getting absolutely trolled by the observers. Look at the bottom lane.
There's also a TP going bot lane. It's cool, Sion's farming. Well, not much to say about that one. We're just gonna move on.
We're in a very different look at the game.
There you go.
Okay, big news was the fact that Akali got a massive shutdown bonus.
Yes.
We always talk about it. Akali's a one-item champ. As soon as she has Gunblade, she likes to play onto the side lanes. We'll have kill pressure on a lot of different people.
Absolutely will. Now, of course, Herald's going to be charging in mid lane. Plenty of time before the plates go down. Even with Yankos out in the air, he will still get the plates, so there will be some good gold donated over, even if it doesn't show it on the spectator overlay. Now, important to note that Akali is, 750 gold, the combined cost there to bust out that Gunblade. And once Angel gets that, there is, I'm not going to say infinitely more kill pressure, but certainly Caps is going to have to play this one flawlessly if he wants to survive.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is that the Herald wasn't also split between Caps and Yankos. Caps wasn't close enough, so we didn't get any of the gold there on the turret, which, you know, I talked about how I feel like you really want to keep this Syndra so she has kill pressure on opponents and able to 100 to 0 whoever she wants. It's going to slow her down slightly, especially now that Angel has so much bank in his back pocket.
G2, of course, though, probably eyeing that juicy shutdown, looking to get something for themselves. And despite Yankos' early completion on the jungle item there, SOFM remains pretty far ahead in terms of overall jungle CS, which at this point, how could we expect any less? That said, meanwhile, on the top side, Wonder battling for these plates, knowing that GP's autos aren't really the concern, but that if he one-taps the creep wave, then Wonder will be in trouble. That said, Bin, attack on Titan, I guess? Like, what? I was just watching him slowly whittle down there, resetting the passive. Of course, it is true damage. So GP will eventually kill that Sion, especially with the Trinity Force, but it does take a long time.
He's cutting down a tree, but it's a very thick tree, and he's using a handsaw.
Thick boy. Can't just do that.
So you can see that Sword Art has actually changed up his positioning. Herald is going to be spawning relatively soon, and with where Ben is and the fact that Suning actually just had vision that Perks is still bot side as we're still chopping down this tree, as Herald spawns, Suning will have numbers advantage on it.
Yep. And now Suning collapsing or ready to collapse in the top side or the mid lane, really keeping either option open for themselves. But in the meantime, Mickey now running forward. For sure, it can flip a pretty easy way for Angel to make it out of that one. Difficult to have kill pressure on the Akali unless she overextends herself.
Now, Suning are just trying to get Sword Art back on friendly terms. You can see that they went very deep, set up a bunch of triangle vision above Herald, and despite the fact that Suning had initial positioning here, G2 very quickly to respond, bringing all of their members here. Huangfeng is still in base, so this is actually now a numbers advantage for G2 over Herald.
They're waiting for it. It could signal the start of the fight, and it nails Yankos right in the face. The chain CC now coming in. Mickey trying to disrupt the engage. Sword Art on his lone, but now Angel ready to move into this fight. How many cooldowns are down? How much time do they have? Mickey running out of health on the backside. GPL going to connect onto 2. Wonder holding on for now, but in the meantime, Angel is styling on G2 Esports. He grabs the Herald for himself, and this is absolute devastation. Wonder going to walk back under the tower, but big fight in favor of Suning.
The damage that Prey just did with that arrow there, cross map from Huangfeng, and then Angel picking up the kill and the Herald.
Man, challenging smite is not looking balanced. SOFM says, I'll deny 20% of that damage. I'll take your life on the backside as well. Easy collat to finish it up, and now Bin pushing in on the top line too. Suning are getting everything.
And so much gold now funneled into Bin's pockets, so they're going to go ahead and crash this wave, get another charge off from this Herald. The game might have just broken open for Suning in this set of plays.
3K gold. Mickey going to do what he can to clear this one out. Donate that 25 over to Wonder. But this is terrifying. They were all feeling good about that Gunblade, but now it's going to be fully completed lethality item for SOFM. It's going to be even more items coming in for the GP. And as you've already seen, Caps is not one-shotting the jungler, who only has Merc Treads, and that is a bad, bad sign for G2 Esports.
Yeah, everyone has hit their item break points as we take another look at this one. A cross-map arrow there right on Yankos, followed right into the Leona CC. It looks okay for G2 because Yankos doesn't immediately get killed, does manage to take down Sword Art and help with Caps, but right there, Another pickup for Angel. He then grabs the Rift Herald. He's going to go ahead and immediately set it down, and the Herald will walk top and then help Ben pick up a bunch more gold. And on the back of this,
Caps trying to make the hero play.
Inability to just kill SOFM, the flash out of the other Q.
Yep. Smokescreen there playing with the vision. One to rewatch later from Caps' perspective, see what he saw, because that was dirty. That's why you see the Graves prioritizing this tournament. A very difficult champion to lock down in the 1v1s, and now he's got the Umbral Glaive as well. So whatever G2 think is theirs is not. No vision really going to be available for this team after that one comes through.
Now it's divide and conquer for Suning. You can see that they're trying to trade these cross-map towers while G2 are trying to protect Caps for him to trade the tower back, but Suning have the lead right now. 2 members, also an Ashe versus a Syndra hitting the structure.
He's stepping forward. Angel really not scared of anything that G2 can bring to the table.
The thing is that Ben has ultimate as well, so as this wave crashes, yeah, there's nothing G2 can do. He doesn't even have to pull the trigger on the ultimate. There is no response from G2 cross-map to the tower that just fell.
And again, we're in a situation where this game is certainly not as dominant as a performance from Suning as the previous one. We've got another situation where top lane is wildly ahead. Now Sion going to scale arguably better than Renekton, assuming that Renekton actually has to get into melee range of his targets in the mid to late game. And the fact that he already has Essence Reaver, the fact that he's going to be one-shotting these waves, which, for the record, when you're one-shotting the wave off a barrel, means just that much more gold for the GP passive, so you're snowballing even faster every single time you clear a wave. This is going to be a nightmare for G2 to deal with.
And naturally, the big team fighting phase for GP, as it's deleted.
Sleepy, they're going to take their time on this one, and they will finish it off. Yanko's going to grab that one, immediate TP back to the wave, trying to get away from Angel, and Yanko's is going to hop his way out of this one.
Is he?
I don't know.
I've seen Bambi.
Oh no, it is Bambi. It's Bambi all over again. SOFM is hunting him down. He's having dinner tonight, and it's certainly looking like G2's hopes and dreams are being served up on the table as Yankos gets dropped there.
Delicious there. Caps using his TP just to eject out of that one, but no hope for Yankos. Meanwhile, G2 were trying to force down mid lane, maybe get some pressure off of Yankos' death. But Suning very quickly respond to it, and again, there's just not a response from G2.
There is not. Onefang just going to clear out the wave, knowing that he's pretty comfortable to do this. SOFM moving up to take the red buff. Consistent resource denial, but again, Onefang overstaying his welcome here in the mid lane. He is going to get pulled back and taken down.
That's now 2 instances in this game where Huangfeng overstays and gets punished rightfully for it, or I guess steps up too far.
Yeah, definitely needs to check the positioning there. May have been looking too much towards the top lane. Not sure what happened there on his screen, but on ours, definitely an overextend. And now a big barrel landing. Mickey backing up. He knows if he burns the Haymaker too early, he will die, as Perkz playing on the edge here. Of course, Akali cannot point and click you if you're lucky enough to be in that shroud, so.
What I was talking about before Ben was killed topside by G2 was that level 13 was obviously the big window for G2 to start grouping up with his team and have a lot of team fight powers. It allows you to do all the cool tricks with your barrels because the timer is now at its lowest. So already you can see Ben is grouping up with everyone, and those barrels are starting to hurt.
Yep, and more importantly, Angel can now sit on a side lane knowing that Wonder has absolutely no MR, and that Caps, while he can't clear the wave, certainly not very comfortable to 1v1. When the Akali has a stopwatch as well, it feels all but impossible to lock down Angel.
And now the question is, how do G2 problem solve Angel onto a side lane? Now what you would expect here is they need to use the movement speed and engage potential of Wonder. So Wonder needs to find these windows where he's not picking up waves that have been forced into him, and then G2 either need to force with teleports or a Sion ultimate to find a numbers advantage and flank on Suning to try to punish them. But with both TPs being down, that one's probably a far shout out. So for the next, I'm going to say until that Infernal Drake spawns, Suning should have control of this game.
Absolutely should. And of course, it's a very terrifying game if you are a member of G2, getting caught out at all by the likes of Sofum when he has double lethality now coming through. Lethality item and a serrated Dirk. And you don't really have any armor to speak of on the squishier members of your team. Very much looking like a potential one-shot. Mickey, though, playing a confident frontliner here. And the thing is, unlike last game, this one isn't just immediately over if we go late. And that's important to remember because the last time these two teams played, it was very close in the final fights. That said, Caps is not where he needs to be. He's now being locked down. He's now being absolutely one-shot as Angel takes the ult to the face, and Takes very little damage in the process.
Very nicely done from Sword Art right there. Getting behind Caps on the control board, using Angel as bait as G2, unable to get anything back. There's the Ash Arrow.
Haymaker's going to come out. He's going to flash forward. He's going to bring it back to the team. Bin, though, now in the midst of everyone, and he is going to get taken down. Clean escape comes out from Mickey, but still the fight in favor of Suning. Up until Wonder arrives. The ult will still connect. Huanfeng's still going to be in trouble. Big ult across the backside. Mickey now ready to go forward. Has to be careful, though. Haymaker cooldown needs to be available, and Angel ready to come over the wall at a moment's notice. G2 know that they can't overcommit onto this one. Knockup will not go through. Trying to anticipate the dash over the wall from Sofum. Biding their time at both sides, going to back off. Dragon spawning in 8 seconds. G2 knows that they can get this one, at least get that much closer to a soul later on in the game.
And that's the good news for G2. It's the fact that they punish Suning as Suning trying to overcommit into the mid lane and have the better resets for the Dragon spawning right now. They should have numbers advantage here and be able to pull this one back.
Huanfeng, of course, again, caught out. Definitely remember we need to keep our eyes on. Now, the beauty of Suning's team composition is they don't necessarily need him to be that much more than a member to fire out these arrows in the fights, but when it gets close, when it comes down to clutch moments in 5v5s, can't afford to slip up. For Caps, can't afford to walk in the unwarded parts of his jungle anymore.
Yeah, just another replay about how this one started off. Again, credit to Sword Art setting that one up very beautifully for Angel. Angel now sitting 4-0 on this Akali, but this is where things go a little bit sideways for Suning. Ben gets just a slam down by Mickey underneath the tower, and this counter engage.
Yep.
I don't know where Ben was going.
Ben was looking for his montage moment. After that Camille game, maybe he was feeling it just a little bit too much. And now, well, there's a Baron on the cards. Angel going to try to kill whoever he can. Lockdown there onto Mickey. They're fishing for a few more. Caps just going to get taken down, though. Angel now unstoppable. Baron now set to fall. Jankos, can he get into the pit? It doesn't look like it. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have options. There's nothing left. Sofum going to grab the Baron. And G2, 4K down. Baron lost as well. Things are going to go from bad to worse very quickly.
And a snap decision from Suning. Underneath that replay, what I'm going to assume happened is G2 took the Infernal Dragon and then probably reset or went back into their lanes, and Suning just sprinted from spawn straight to the Baron, caught G2 with their pants down, and punished them very heavily for it.
Yeah, now the wave clear is effortless as well. G2 going to do what they can to clear these waves, but Sion being able to one-shot it is only reliable if no one is there to stop him from using the decimating smash. Extra range for Perks will be okay, but this one's going to be tough. Eyes on the arrow cooldown for Huanfeng, eyes on the ultimate cooldown for Sword Art. They are ready to get a fight kicked off.
I also want to point out the fact that Angel has access to a stopwatch right now, so he's going to feel so confident to go toe-to-toe with Caps right now, who's still just trying to complete his death cap.
Yeah, big damage coming through.
Here comes Sion. This is the flank that we were talking about. This is G2's one moment to try to get back into this game.
There. Trying to one-tap Sword Art. Big change. That should be it. Support now out of the game, and there's no pressure anywhere else on the map right now for Suning. And G2 Wonder BMing on the body of Sword Art. You might not love to see it when G2 are behind, but certainly a sign of confidence. G2 are not out of this one yet, and a lot of the Baron buff is now going to be wasted away.
I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit, though. Maybe Wonder getting ahead of himself. I mean, yeah. I can feel it. Big ego play right there.
Definitely the case. Been pushing it on side lane. Angel's terrifying. That's a Leandries. Yes, Wonder. Turns out that hurts you when you don't have any MR. So Angel still definitely needs to be respected in this one. IE on the way for Ben only has the, of course, BF sword at this rate. Could opt to go into the GA if he wants to play it a bit more defensively, but given everything we've seen from this man, feeling like a pretty safe bet on that Infinity Edge.
Yeah, but it does mean that while the Baron is going to be used to crack the base, it will still crack this mid lane tower. Like you said, Dracos, you know, the fact that Wonder did find that successful flank, did waste some time and some vital cooldowns like the teleport spell from Angel, as well as the Baron buff for Suning, but you know, you're still looking at a pretty healthy gold deficit for G2, as well as some very scary items that have come out for their carries. Suning should feel confident whether the game ended here or not, that they're still in control and have a lot of options to play this one out.
Absolutely do. Good news is death cap now finished for Caps, and it looks like we're on the way to a locket coming in from Wonder, which can mitigate a lot of the upfront burst damage that Suning can bring to the table. That said, sustained fights still a bit difficult. G2 really hoping for Lilia to bring through some of that damage burden in the longer team fights, but also very difficult for Jankos because, again, he is working towards an hourglass. He's working towards some armor to mitigate a lot of the lethality that Sofum is bringing to the table, but pretty far off the item at that point and has none of the armor components right now. Caps, I think this one started off, though, but won't get anything else, just buying space, just getting rid of time on the Baron buff.
But that's exactly what Angel is doing as well, allowing his team to walk up and do massive damage here. A zoning Gangplank ultimate as Suning are trying to brute force this mid tower.
We'll take down the tier 2, we'll further extend their gold lead. 6K now just about in their favor. Should be when they are able to retreat and grab their own jungle camps. So things looking very good for Suning.
Infernal is going to be spawning in 1 minute. That means that we're going to be playing off of the mid priority. As Huang Feng maybe again out of position.
Yeah, but that rapid fire cannon auto, when it's got a glacial augment attached to it, is something that has to be respected there. Luckily there's no follow-up this time around, but Perks' range is just going to get longer and longer.
Okay, playing off of Infernal. Suning have had their resets come in. They're passing the blue buff off into Angel. Now, there's no TPs for Bin or Angel just yet, so it'll probably be Bin that's playing cross-map using the Gangplank ultimate to play on this dragon. As I say that, though, he's actually just walking it straight towards the pit and will be pushing out the bottom lane. So we may either have G2 just give this one away or a full potential 5v5 over this Infernal. Because it is only the 4th dragon where we have an even split, I would expect that G2 will use this moment to catch their breath, wait for the next Baron fight, and continue to funnel EXP and gold into Caps, who's had a pretty long freeze up into that top side that's finally pushing away from him.
Yeah, and additionally, it's just very difficult to play these fights out if you're the side of G2. You really need to be able to peel for your backline carries, and with Jankos being so squishy, he's not offering a whole lot right now. And additionally, now we see Bin on the top side, though, potentially overstaying his Perks. Will manage to survive on that one. Bin overcommits. Won't matter because ultimately the Dragon's still over to the side of Suning, but maybe G2 now can find a window as the ulti is going to go down. Mickey's in trouble. Will not even get a chance to push that Haymaker as the tier 2 breaks.
Yeah, Mickey, I guess thinking that he could try to clear the wave right there, but it is overconfidence from Bin that's traded for overconfidence for Mickey.
And I was about to talk about how Bin now has the IE and should be feared above all else for his ability to one-tap the backline of G2, but of course, overstaying your welcome is definitely one way to go out.
The disrespect. Mickey hiding in Fog of War as soon as Ben overcommits there onto Perks, flashes around and manages to help trade that kill back for back. But then Mickey steps up to the wave and surprise, it's a bar fight. All of Suning are there.
And it's actually surprising. Ben is 0-3, and it feels like it's still been a good Gangplank performance from him, but he's obviously getting caught out a lot. So while Sofum, Angel, and Sword Art are all, I think, playing very cleanly for the most part, Sword Art obviously giving his life in some exchanges, definitely have 2 members on the team who are either a little overconfident or a little out of position, and those are the things that you need to tighten up as we get later in the game. Even when you have a 6K advantage, you can't afford to miss position in these fights.
And this is one of the gaps that people talk about when they talk about Suning versus TES and JDG is round 14.
Wonder's now been caught out. He's going to flash and is waiting to ult for now. He's going to get stunned. He's going to get locked up again. The passive is going to be big, but with an Ashe there, it's going to be pretty difficult for Wonder to get anything done there. Losing their tank, losing their support. That's going to be second Baron pretty easily for Suning in this game.
Absolutely. Now, the silver lining for G2 fans is that Jankos does have flash. He is still alive, but the Baron just spawned. You are now missing very crucial members, your entire front line for G2, which should make it really easy for Angel and Sword Art to make sure that Jankos doesn't have a shot in hell of getting near this Baron. You can see the white flag goes up. Jankos is picking up the Gromp in tandem with Senna to pick up the Soul, and the second Baron for Suning.
And again, now 8K gold lead. It starts to feel pretty insurmountable. We've seen Miracle team fights before, most certainly, but there's no Ezreal this time around. It's a Senna, it's a Syndra. It feels like they burn their cooldowns and then they chill. They sit there. So really it's going to take something even more than miraculous for G2 to find their way back into this one.
It's also the fact that they're still missing a lot of the hard engage. Now, G2 do have access to multiple teleports here. Again, you're looking for them to find the fight on their terms, which means it's probably about Wonder or about Caps, finding a good flank and then hard CC. But from this game state, from this map state, Suning should be feeling really good. They can see the finish line. It's probably a single team fight before they can skip across that one. They have great power in both their side lanes. SOFM's also huge now.
Yeah. If we're running a foot race here, G2 are going to need some rocket boosters or for Suning's shoelaces to be untied, because there's no way without really, again, something miraculous. This is such a difficult situation for G2 to be in. They're very much up against the wall in this one. And while Wonder has certainly made a solid impact in these games, eventually the damage output from GP will simply be too much. It's a similar story for the Akali, who is now working towards her own death cap. On top of the Leandries and the Hourglass that she has for herself, and Sofum with a Last Whisper coming in as well on his way to a Lord Dominic's. Even Wonder won't be tanky enough soon, but now they're trying to find the play onto Angel. Awesome, the Hex Flash out of Mickey. Sofum very comfortable in this 1v1 right now. Meanwhile, the tier 3 in the mid lane will get broken down. They're chipping away at the opposition here for G2 Esports, but they can't really commit to a fight. Mickey constantly threatening the engage here, but very limited without that flash.
Expertly played by Suning to keep the pressure up through multiple waves, and the fact that they're playing with G2 in the middle and then Sofum off into the side. And you can see the desperation is setting in for G2. They're just trying to break one side of this matchup, and they're committing now to this Graves.
Trying to lock down Sofum. Should be a pretty easy one to flash out to safety. Big ult across. Now Drowsy and solid kill pickup. But in the meantime, Angel's absolutely styling. Zoom and dash and left and right goes Golden, buys a bit more time. And now Mickey on the way out as he gets shut down before he can even dunk down on the opposition. And the big GP ultimate. The Death Doubter landing right where it needs to go. Wonder though, going into death form. Now a zombie, now running forward. They have to burn everything to slow him down to stop it. Hornfang forced to flash out to safety. Angel potentially could be in trouble now. They've lost a lot here on the side of G2, but maybe, just maybe, they can find a fight back in their favor. Going Golden again, and the shutdown back onto Perks. Suning breaking open the base, but G2 still finding a fight.
I'm finding a lot of gold in kind of the two carries that they really need to show up right now, which is this Lilia and this Senna. The fact that Perks is 4-0 and 8, still continuing to pick up these souls, now has a lot of gold into his back pocket. You can see maybe there's a tiny glimmer of light down a very dark tunnel for G2. But like you said, this was also Suning overextending, getting a little bit flashy. If they played this one for the objectives rather than trying to just pad the body count, maybe the game might be over.
Yeah. And immediate GPL here, big damage goes in. Lucky for them, they've got the lock to the Iron Solari from Wonder, or that one really could have just been it right there. Hornfang again, forced to flash out of this one. Can't blame him though. You can't slow down the Scion zombie form. He will 2-auto you down. And now it appears that G2 on the back of that one haven't been able to save their base, but they have been able to get the third Infernal, moving them up to Soul Point. So there it is. There's your glimmer of light, Frosker, and right at the end of that dark tunnel you were talking about, and it's going to spawn in 5 minutes. So the question now is, can G2 hold?
And I do want to talk about this. Obviously, I still feel that this is Suning's game to lose at this point. I still feel that they're in control of the position, although there are several key items that have come through for G2. But this is something to watch over the course of the tournament. The inconsistencies in a very young roster as Ben is getting blasted.
A lot of squishy members on that team.
This is what happens. This is why there's a gap between TES and JDG. You drag Suning out, you start to see some of the cracks and some of that inexperience. Not quite choosing what the correct macro decision is, getting a little bit over-eager, a little bit volatile. And you can see a really high ceiling for Suning, how talented their individual players are. And you can see a very deep gutter as they are kind of running it a bit into G2 when the game was done and dusted.
And for Ben, overconfidence, a slow and insidious killer. Now, it paid off for him big time in that Aurelia matchup. It paid off for him big time in that Camille matchup. But here in GP versus Scion in the late game, when he has quad offensive items, he is probably wishing that he had Asterix instead of that immediate IE rush or that immediate zeal, because he has not been able to find any opportunities to lay down barrels when he's getting one shot by the front line of G2, or the back line rather of G2.
And it was another shutdown for Caps as well, who has spent all of this time onto side lanes, is now level 17. Is also now about to be an avid reader. He's got the Dark Seal, it's got 3 stacks onto it. The play will be to upgrade this into a Majai's.
And Perks is grabbing mad stacks here as they duo clear through the jungle. So, again, GP scaling nice, but if he gets one tabbed again now by this Senna, who is without any crit itemization outside of their rapid fire cannon, probably at about 100% crit right now. A lot of additional souls, a lot of extra damage, and Perks is going to be a terror.
Okay. The Baron is going to be coming up in 37 seconds. That's the first thing that we need to take stock of. It's still always going to be easier for Suning to get, to get control over the mid wave, because they'll push faster than the Senna unless G2 want to expend multiple members to do so. They also have great CC to play around the Leona ultimate, the Ashe ultimate, if G2 are ever out of position and they think that they can engage on them when they come to clear mid lane, which means that Suning should be first to get position over Baron, which means that G2 need to be grouped up entirely to safely use their tanks to face check in here. Now, what I wish Suning would do is they would keep Angel into his side lane, or GP into a side lane, and just try to play pressure. What instead they're doing is Angel is playing defense goalkeeper to this Baron, and G2 are missing their chances. This is getting shredded very quickly.
Yeah, eyes on the prize here. Now Cap's walking back to base. Maybe he looks for a TP, but 4K dropping. That's just going to do it. That's third Baron in a row for Suning. Now, of course, 2 minutes left until that all-important Soul Point. But again, now with 2 inhibitors down, we could be looking at 3 inhibitors down for G2, and while Senna would certainly be happy to see a few more souls go into her pocket, at that point the game is pretty much done.
I mean, this one's going to go the distance, it feels like. But G2, there's no more mistakes left. You lose a single team fight, you lose the game. Whereas Suning, it feels like, could lose a couple of team fights. Now, obviously, you don't want to give away an Infernal Soul, which is now spawning in a minute and a half. So hopefully Suning clear out the base and then use the base pressure to either end the game by G2 taking a bad fight or securing themselves a dragon and continuing to extend this game.
And Cap's strong enough now that he is one-shotting everything but the cannon minion in terms of Baron clear. Oh, difficult game for Suning. Not having a frontliner is certainly hurting them. It was not earlier in the game. It was very much a big boon and benefit, but...
Did you see that damage on Ben?
Yeah. Yeah, Perks is scary. Again, that was 100 souls, so a lot of extra range. You put a rapid fire cannon on top of that, that's a lot more extra range. And for Angel and also for Ben, this is going to be difficult to just take 20, 30% of your health up front from a single auto.
This is Mission Turtle. If you're a Suning... Oh my god. If you're a Suning fan, you need some key pieces of CC to hit some key targets. You need to kill Perks, who has Cleanse and Flash available. You also need to kill Jankos. G2 at this point, full turtle mode. You were playing this one very slow. Maybe you even give up this Infernal, since it's the soul for you. It's not the soul for Suning.
Oh, big barrel though. Eyes on that one. Where's it going to go? Will not connect into Perks. Could have been a death sentence. Looks like the lineup wasn't quite there. SOFM though now looking to break this inhibitor. G2 seemingly ready to force a fight about it. Sword Art not quite as squishy as the opposition there, and the arrow will go wide. That's going to be a big cooldown down. It looks like G2 have decided what they want to do, and it's chase out SOFM.
Now we just talked about kind of the volatility of Suning and some of their inexperience. Ooh.
Angel, sleepy, doesn't activate the hourglass, and that's it. Oh, once it's night-night, you can't push those buttons, and that's going to be the kill, that's going to be the pick, and that's going to start things off. Huanfeng trying to speed down this Infernal Drake. G2 running, G2 sprinting because they can see the win condition in their eyes. They can't afford to overcommit on this one. It is going to get taken down. Soul point denied. Suning, though, now on the back foot as G2 chase them down. Sword Art going to get picked off, and the game is now wide open. Yes, it is a 6K difference in gold, but we're late enough now that it might not matter.
This is going to come down to a single team fight. The game's going to go that long. I cannot believe G2 are going to get...
Game 1, Suning versus G2, banger. Game 2, Suning versus G2, definitely Suning favor. Game 3, Suning versus G2, it looks like we got another banger on our hands, folks, because this is going to be tight.
But Suning, they were in control for so much of this game.
They've had 3 Barons.
Okay, it's not over yet. But oh my god, it's always this moment. What I was about to say is, you see the volatility in Suning with some of their inexperience that, you know, if you drag them late enough, you can start to find the inconsistencies of some of these decisions and punish that. And G2, they always make you work for it.
Yes, yes, they most certainly do. It looked very over. 15 minutes of the game, 20 minutes of the game, even 25 minutes into the game. But here, 40 minutes into our final game of Group A. Reminder, winner, first seed, loser, second. Pretty simple to keep track of.
Look at Perks' build, he's got a Randuin's.
Oh no, wait a second.
He might be unkillable.
He might be, I don't know, he's definitely not unkillable.
I mean, obviously if he walks into all of them.
But at this point, we're 40 minutes in, and this man is probably at about 120 souls. If we can get a soul check again, that would be good, because he's collecting a lot here from all these waves continuously crashing into him.
Obviously,
eventually he could build full tank and still be an 80 carry, right? If we go late enough, it is possible. I never thought we'd get there, but it is certainly possible.
The infinite scaling on Senna is really making a different meaning in this game. It hits different, if you will.
We always say it, but we never see it come true.
40 minutes on the clock. Okay.
127 souls, folks. That's a lot of bonus range.
He's gonna start hitting people from like an entire screen away. This is gonna be like a Nocturnal ultimate.
Yeah, we gotta talk about siege potential. This man is literally artillery. He's gonna be autoing your mid-tier 1 from halfway down the map.
Okay, Suning. You have pressure in all of these lanes. G2 have to stay as like a little death ball composition. You've got 2 different teleports. You have a Gangplank ultimate. You just need to connect one of these hard CCs onto a G2 member who's out of position, drop the Gangplank ultimate, and hopefully you blow him up. If you don't blow him up, you need to get the hell out of dodge, because Senna is a champion that makes extended fights very punishing here. And you need to try to get this flash and this cleanse off of Perks so you have kill pressure on him, because this guy will decide team fights. The heals, the range, the CC.
And the Randuins. We have double Randuins coming out. And honestly, Jankos, if he wanted to, could probably build one of his own. It looks like we're going to see the Death Cap come out instead, but I mean, you got triple crit carries on the side of Suning, so showing more and more big brain. Mickey on her way to a Gargoyle Stone Plate for himself. And I don't know why I'm talking about the items, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. They don't really matter that much. It's just mostly execution. Whoever starts the fight right probably wins the fight.
Again, I feel like the longer a fight goes on, that I'm still going to favor G2 just because of the Senna, although you can see it's probably going to come down to execution for both sides because there's still tons of sustained damage on the side of Suning's composition. But the itemization and the sheer armor from G2.
One auto! Not going to be nearly enough. Ooh, the cleanse now coming out, though. They're getting a lot of those cooldowns. GP all coming in. They haven't quite started the fight the way that they want to, but Caps now backing off the suplex down in the meantime. Yanko's now dashing forward, looking for the sleep. The going golden. Suning may have found the fight that they were waiting for. Perk's now on the run for the hills. Oh, and now it's a trade back and forth. Perk's still alive. He's grabbing souls left and right, though, and Suning can't make a big enough dent to stop G2's push forward.
But the biggest thing was the fact that Angel was also killed in that fight. If the Akali had survived, maybe it's a completely different game for Suning at this point, but Yanko's going down and finishing what Caps started by trading his life also for the Akali.
Ben now has to back away from this tower. He has to be careful. He is very, very squishy. TP coming in the mid lane. G2, they're trolling the trigger. They want to end this one as quickly as they can. They want to break open the base. They want to give themselves a few more advantages because it's a minute left till the Dragon. They win a fight here. They get that soul, and it makes the rest of the game so much easier.
They need to be very careful. 30 seconds until the Akali is back up. She also has TP, and that's one less TP that G2 will now have to work with on this very open map.
Ooh. Taking a breather. That's 775 base attack range, folks. 140 souls. That might be the biggest number I've ever seen in pro play. That probably is the biggest number I've ever seen in pro play.
Can we get a stat check on that?
That's a very hard one to check, but yeah, Marcus, if you're listening, if you can figure that number out, no pressure, let us know if that's the most souls anyone's had.
Okay, Suning sprinting towards this Baron. Now Jankos is all the way out of base. They will shred through this. He might not get here in time, but maybe the rest of G2 though. Although it looks like they're gonna handshake, give the Baron away, and instead try to grab the soul that's spawning in 7 seconds. If I'm Suning, I'm just like sprinting towards the base with this Baron.
That's really the only option you have left, but you don't have very
no,
many waves
Ben's resetting. They're gonna fight for it. Ben's resetting to TP.
No, it's gone, it's gone. That's it, that's Dragon Soul. Oh, but as they back out, they're not put together. You got Gangplank on the flank, Gangplank, one big shot, Ben! Can you do it? Huge! My God, one moment, one shot, one barrel, that's all you need, Suning. They find their shot, they find their fight, and that's it. Just like that, it felt like everything was turning against them, but now Wonder is the last man left standing. One shot, one kill. The pistol from Ben finds its mark, and now Suning will move up. They will take first seed in Group A. G2 strong, but not strong enough. The LPL will take this one.
And Ben saw his moment. He could play the map or he could play the fight in true LPL fashion, rolls the dice, TPs into the fight, and blows G2 up. The third seed of the LPL will take first in their group and take down the first seed of the LEC.
What a way to end the game.
Boom, baby.
Looks at those souls, says, cool story. You seen a barrel? Only takes one. And that was a game balanced on a knife's edge. Balanced on a knife edge because Suning struggled to close. But when it came down to a single final clutch play, Suning found their man, they found their mark, and they'll find their win. First seed to make it out of the group.